Welcome to the Native Diamond Podcast.
Oh, shit! What you waiting for?
What the fuck is up, everyone? Seth Mick here, back again with a new podcast episode. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. It really does mean a lot. I have been ghosting my social media lately. I'm not gonna lie. I haven't felt like getting on there, really. I just have to stay away from that kind of stuff. I feel like I need like some type of a mental health break. I strongly advise everyone to try it every once in a while. If you do, that's awesome, because sometimes we get caught up in the same routine thing. We're doing the same shit all the time, and it's good to take a break from that. My wife and I recently took a trip to Nashville, North Carolina, a premier spot to get craft brews. If you're into that type of shit, you should check it out if you're in the area. We took a weekend trip up there, and it's been so hard to get out of vacation mode. I don't know if anyone else deals with this sort of problem, but every time I vacation somewhere, I immediately just want to move there. I'm like ready to pack up all my shit and let's just start a life there. So I need to get out of that. I'm really bad about that. But anyway, today it's a fun episode. I got to talk to Daisy Dead, the bass player of the Dead Deads. They are a refreshing new band that I found here recently. Okay, they've been praised by people like Hailstorm, Cheap Trick, Corey Taylor, Sean Morgan from Seether, and many, many more. Okay, they have a huge fan base, which are called the Deadcore, and we'll get into that later on, but they obviously have this like really cool aesthetic. I love their sound. They kind of remind me of like Weezer, kind of like a surf punk kind of vibe, but they do a lot of heavy stuff as well. Very awesome music. Daisy, it was a treat talking to you. Thanks again for doing the show. Let's get into it, okay? My conversation with Daisy Dead of the Dead Deads. What's up, my dudes? Seth Mick here. This is Native Diamond Podcast. Thank you for tuning in, as always. Today, hanging out with Daisy, the bass guitarist of the Dead Deads. What's going on?
Hello. Not much. Talking to you.
Right. Thank you so much for joining me today. I know it's a beautiful day outside and you're giving me some time that's valuable to you, but here we are.
It's my pleasure.
I start off with icebreaker questions. There are about 21 or so. It's either or style. Just say the first thing that comes to mind, and you can always pass if you don't know either of the options.
Okay.
All right. I'll go ahead and kick it off with the first one. Meat eater or vegetarian?
I'm a vegetarian.
Oh, cool. I'm also
I'm
vegetarian.
mostly vegan. I cheat on sometimes, but I'm mostly vegan.
That's really cool. The guy, actually, my tattooer, he's from Nashville, and he was telling me about like all the vegan like butcher shops or whatever, they like slice pepperoni and stuff. Mm-hmm. That's really cool.
He's probably talking about specifically this place called Beehive, which has really helped, I think, expand a lot of the vegan options, at least in Nashville. And I think they do expand outside of Nashville, but yeah, they do a pepperoni, they do seitan, this and that. And it's popping up on like all the menus. So it's been really easy. It's been about 1.5 years since I decided to cut the dairy also. And yeah, I mean, I sometimes crave Cheez-Its or like a pizza, like a more real pizza, but that's few and far between. Day to day. I don't miss it.
I hear you. I mean, I've been like hardcore vegetarian for the past year. Like, I don't know, I've tried to kind of, throw in those vegan meals and stuff like that, but I find it, in my personal opinion, it gets kind of expensive when it comes to the vegan stuff.
Yeah, especially the meat replacement stuff. Obviously, like beans and rice are some of the cheapest foods there are. Yeah. Or like potatoes and broccoli, like that's super cheap. But yeah, like the meals that are already put together, they do get pricey.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's like the first time I've ran into another like vegetarian. Well, it's been a while. We'll just say that. That's cool though.
Yeah, I recently that reminds me, I recently got some mesquite powder. And I haven't really done that much with it because it's so strong. But that's one thing, like when I stopped eating meat years ago, I found that like what I really missed when I was craving meat and I'd maybe have a bite of something, it was the smokiness.
Oh,
So
okay, yeah.
the taste is, and same thing like with like a cheeseburger. I realized for me anyway, it wasn't really about the burger, especially at somewhere like Burger King. Like that Impossible Whopper is great because it's not like their regular beef patty was something that you're like, oh, I love it. It's that flame broiled. It's the smoke.
Yeah.
The smoked stuff they put on there. That's what tastes good.
No, that's definitely true. And speaking of that, I really do like the Impossible Burger. Like,
I do too.
Yeah, like I bought some today actually, but no, it's just like to me it's the best like burger replacement or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you obviously know there's certain brands that like you prefer as far as like fake chicken or fake sausage or whatever. I'm sure you have your brands that you're loyal to, whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of those patties that like the beef ones are ones that have like little pieces of like corn and carrots or whatever. I don't know. I'll eat it.
Yeah.
But I don't love it.
Some aren't that great. People ask me about that all the time. I'm sure you as well.
Yeah.
The main question I get is like, okay, so you don't eat meat. Like, what do you eat?
What do you eat? Yeah.
I mean, it differs, I don't know. Depends on like what I'm feeling that day. But anyway, we're not going to talk about food for too long, girls.
Okay.
I'm going to head on down to the kitchen and get something.
Yeah, we'll get hungry.
All right, next question. So most recently, have you watched a new movie or a new TV show?
I think a new movie. I think the most recent movie I watched was that Billie Holiday movie.
Oh, cool. I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I think I may have seen something else since then, but yeah, that's the most recent full like front to back movie that I've seen.
That's really cool. I've recently just been watching like TV shows, but we'll get into that later because I don't want to spoil this question.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it's been a lot more TV shows than movies, but it's hard for me to watch like a whole movie because I'll just end up falling asleep or losing
I know that Netflix has this train to be like 40 minutes or so and then take a break.
Yeah.
And like on the flip side of that, it's like you don't want to sit there for 2.5 hours, but the TV shows, it's more of a commitment. It's like 10 hours for the whole story, which is great because, some things require a little bit more like development story wise, but
yeah, true.
It's less chunk. They break it up for you.
Do you watch a lot of like crime dramas and stuff like that, like Forensic Files?
No, that's like one of the genres I do not get into because they scare me. I need to be able to be, I like being alone and alone time, and I need that to not be where I'm scared someone's in my house. Those things really get under my skin.
Yeah, nah, I feel you. We were watching the Hotel Cecil. Like that documentary on Netflix.
That one.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy. The whole conspiracy behind that.
Yeah.
There's like dedicated like podcasts to like that recent story. God, what's that? Eliza Lamb or whatever that lady's name was that died in like 2013. But anyway, that whole thing is like crazy, but like my wife is obsessed with like Forensic Files and stuff like that, so we ended up watching.
There was an SNL skit, did you see this, where they're like joking about like, I need to relax, I'm gonna watch my murder shows, and they
yeah, I think I saw that on TikTok. He's like, her eyes were cut off, her legs were cut off or something like that. I don't know. But anyway, you get on TikTok at all? Do you guys?
I don't know. I think there's one that's created and like a few years ago, like when it first came out, and I was just sort of like, I couldn't figure out what to do. But I see a lot of the TikToks because people put them on their Instagrams and Twitter. So maybe.
I think you guys would do well on there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just see like there's so much like exposure to different music through TikTok.
Yeah.
Because I
Yeah, there
mean,
is now.
it's based around music, so
Yeah, it's grown a lot. That wasn't the case like 2 or 3 years ago. And
I
I really
know,
thought, like, when those things come out, I really didn't think it would stick either.
right?
But it has. It's become, like a major player. So
Yeah, it's really strange. But anyway, jump on that TikTok thing. I recently got on it. It's pretty fun. Like,
yeah.
it's just different than like all the other platforms. I don't know. I just feel like on Facebook, you have to kind of be mindful because like your mom's on there or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like Instagram, it's getting that way, and
Close. Yeah.
TikTok is just like whatever. It's just totally shitting on everything, and it's funny.
You're right. My mom is not on TikTok. So I can
That
misbehave over there.
there you go. All right. Let's see. Who's the better vocalist in your opinion? Ollie Sykes, Bring Me the Horizon, or Sam Carter of Architects?
I would have to say Ollie.
Okay, cool. Have you like listened to the new album by the Bring Me the Horizon?
I haven't listened to the new album. I've been so bad about listening to the new stuff. I've been on old stuff.
Well, that's
What
cool.
do you
I
think
mean,
about it?
well, I like it a lot. Like, we did like an end of the year episode, and I basically put it on like my top EP of the year, even though it was like 8 songs or something like that.
Yeah.
It was kind of lengthy, but I mean, they were very adamant about it being an EP.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, I mean, like, I like what they're doing. A lot of people enjoyed the fact that they're bringing back like heavier, like
Yeah.
their heavier side, and
That's what I've heard from people.
yeah. So basically, I mean, I really enjoyed that. I personally like a mix of both. Like, I'm not totally sold on like one or the other,
Me too, because you get bored. Like, or just
Yeah.
like you don't even realize you're getting bored, but your ears, they just kind of start tuning out.
Yeah, because like, in my opinion, like, well, like, I was big into Memphis Mayfire back in like 2012, I guess, and a lot of bands kind of sound like that, like kind of still, like kind of in that same like ballpark of like breakdown, catchy part, whatever.
That's right. Yeah.
And it just feels
It's
like
a good
regurgitated.
formula, but
Yeah, it's a good formula, but like once everyone's has done it, it's like all right.
Mhm.
And now I just feel like we're at this kind of, I feel like rock kind of became stale. I think that's fair to say, because you didn't really see any growth anywhere.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of like a stagnant genre. Everyone's popping off in either pop or rap or country or whatever, but rock for some reason kind of has like stood still for a while, I feel like.
Yeah, that I think that's natural. That happens. It just kind of for the reason you're talking about. You get like some kind of cool vibe or whatever, and then everybody starts to do it, which is fun, and then you get tired of it. Like, what's the next thing going to be?
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. Have you heard of a kid called Jairus Johnson?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Well, that's good because this was one of the questions I was going to ask later, so we're not going to ask that. But no, Jairus Johnson, he's basically like, he's a TikTok, I wouldn't say kid, but early 20s or something like that.
Okay.
But he did a cover with Papa Roach, and they redid Last Resort. So it's like Last Resort Reloaded or something like that.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, he's just basically like kind of blowing up, and people call him like butt trap or something like that because he does like butt rock, but kind of like rappier, like remixes.
Okay.
But,
what's his name again?
Jairus Johnson.
Jairus Johnson.
Yeah. He just did a remix with Bring Me the Horizon, Can You Feel My Heart? But it's like all over like Octane right now, like Sirius XM.
I need to get on that. I need to get off this pop station I've been listening to. I've done enough research. I need to get back on the rock.
Do you have Octane or do you have Sirius XM?
I don't.
Okay, well, that kind of helps me like kind of know like on the radar like what's popping with like that butt rock or whatever you want to call it. It gets that whole stigma for some reason.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's fun. I mean, people like to make fun of it, but they love it. Just like we were talking, I can't remember if we'd started or if this was our pre-conversation, but we're talking about Backstreet Boys.
Oh, yeah.
You can't really hate it. And what is it? I think Nickelback's kind of come back around. Maybe not all the way back to
Yeah,
around, but
I
it's
think
like
so.
uncool to make fun of them now.
I think so because it was kind of like
You
that
can't deny
on.
the songs. I mean, come on.
Yeah, it was like an ongoing joke, but I mean the songs are really good, and
Yeah,
I mean you can't even like I don't know, you can't not like bob your head to it like when it comes on
exactly.
or sing all the
Yeah.
words. All right, next question. I don't know if you've watched either or of these shows, but I'll give it a shot.
Okay.
WandaVision or Jersey Shore?
I haven't watched either of those, but I'm going to just say WandaVision for sure. I
um,
will watch WandaVision. I just haven't yet. Jersey Shore, it it didn't seem interesting to me at the time, and I have no need to go back. Although I know a whole lot about it because it was
right.
part of our pop culture for a very long time.
Oh, that's funny.
What about
Yeah,
you? What's your choice?
I'm going with WandaVision. And that's kind of what I was referring to earlier on, where I was like, well, I'll bring up this TV show I've been watching, but I just finished up WandaVision, so I don't want to
Did
spoil
you
it.
cry? Did you cry?
It was super good. Like, it's sad,
Is that a yes?
I mean, I didn't cry, but,
Oh, okay.
yeah, sure, I cried. All right. Spoiler, I cried. No. It was super sad. It was so good too. Like if you're into that whole like MCU Marvel comic universe,
Yeah.
all that, it's interesting.
My only one of the well, one, I don't have Disney Plus, but I know it's easy to just do that. I haven't done that. But then also I kind of said goodbye, like with when it ended, and I knew that they would continue with content and series and more movies and the thing, but just through the last two movies, what the end, whatever, with Thanos and all that
Mhm.
stuff, it was like I said goodbye to all of them, and I'm kind of done. As much as I loved it, I was on the journey, and now the journey's over.
Yeah. And honestly, I've been kind of like just kind of watching back on the not older movies because that sounds like super old, but like Captain America, the first one,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
Captain Marvel. Like I've just been watching those because Disney Plus like recommended the timeline of like everything. So
yeah,
I was like, well, shit, I'm just gonna watch it in order of how each character came in, and
yeah. I did that before that last movie. What is the name of that movie?
is it Endgame?
Endgame. Yes, I'm like it's such a
Okay.
last resort.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
No,
did
that.
that before the Endgame. Just watched them all again, just to remember, because they're like little Easter eggs, or maybe not even Easter eggs. They weren't secrets, but just that you forgot like details, or who knows who from where, or where they, you know.
Mhm. That's really interesting. So did you like grow up kind of watching like cartoons or like comic book stuff, or what kind of came about to where you're interested into Marvel?
I think I think it just was because those movies were so good, like the Iron Man. So no, I wouldn't say I grew up exactly, but Robert Downey Jr. just kind of killed it,
Yeah.
and with that new type of hero, and you just wanted to see more of that. And so then they started making these also kind of imperfect or somehow humanized. What's another kind of like breakthrough and all that for me anyway was the Ragnarok or however you
Hmm.
say it. That
Yeah.
movie was so hilarious, and
Yeah.
just bringing the comedy into it too. I mean, and the handsome men don't hurt, but
For sure.
yeah, I think it's just kind of fun stories, and they really rounded out the characters so much that I just wanted to see more and more of them.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's just like good, like wholesome kind of TV. It's not totally disgusting or,
Yeah,
just something you can watch with everyone, I guess. It has a lot of crowd appeal, I guess.
for sure. Yeah.
All right, next question. Which have you spent money on recently? Alcohol or equipment?
Uh, it's funny, kind of neither, because I haven't been drinking. I did a drynuary,
Hmm.
and then I kept it going. So now we're into March, and I have drank a couple times, but I'm trying to think if I've bought any gear. I think I had to get an adapter. I don't know. It's about equal. I haven't I haven't been spending that much money, I guess.
That's
Yeah,
cool
I don't
though.
know.
Yeah, I mean it's a good time not to spend any money at all.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I don't know. I guess it must be alcohol because I can't think of especially a larger piece of gear that I've gotten, but I had some champagne for the inauguration, for instance.
That's cool. Is there like a whole lot of breweries in Nashville?
There's Yazoo is kind of like the first kind of craft brewery, and they're, I guess, kind of like King Brewery in Nashville, but there's a ton of them now.
Mhm.
Um, uh, don't ask me to name them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's just so many.
Do you like
Jackalope is one.
do you like hop like around those, or do you just kind of stay away from it now that it's kind of like phased out, I guess? Well, not phased out, but you know.
No, no, I actually, I generally prefer local. A lot of that's just out of like, because you have to choose. It's almost like when you're standing in front of the toothpaste or whatever. Like,
Mm,
yeah, it just helps you choose. So I go local, and I like them in the cans. Also, just I guess for the environmental, and your trash isn't as heavy after you drink all of them.
that's really interesting. Yeah, like I had mentioned, I think when we were off air, but I just got back from Asheville, and it's funny because like you know when you get out of vacation mode, you're still kind of like over everything.
Hmm.
And I go back to work tomorrow, so I'm kind of like dreading that. But
Oh man,
yeah, we
you're gonna
were
forget your logins.
I know. And so like we were like brewery hopping basically all weekend. And I forgot how much fun that was because
Oh,
you know,
yeah,
I've just been
you
away
getting like the
from
flights and stuff.
yeah, like well, everything's basically outside now because of how things are, obviously. And
Hmm.
so everything was outside and it was, you know, a cool 50 degrees, kind of chilly, but it was perfect. Everyone
Yeah,
definitely had the heaters outside. So it was just nice to be able to do that again. Like I
really
don't know.
nice. What kind are you into? Are you more like a darker beer, or are you more into IPAs?
I actually kind of like more of the sour beers, which is kind of
Ooh,
weird
yeah,
because I know a lot of people don't really care for those, but
I love them.
yeah, me too. And I
Yeah.
like the darker stuff too. Like I like stouts. I
Hmm.
think I'm more of like a fan of like the more like malt heavy brews.
Mm,
Like I don't like IPAs. So
okay. Yeah, I love me a good Guinness too. I like I like all kinds of stuff. I like all the beers. I'll drink it. You put it in front of me.
what is your favorite?
I think I do tend to choose IPAs just because they are kind of lighter, just
Hmm.
on the nose or whatever. But yeah, but like I said, I love a good Guinness too. I love that milk, those milk stouts. Those are
Oh
good.
yeah. That's
Um,
a weakness.
yeah, that it's like the Left Hand Brewing still is like my favorite one.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
Um, and there's a really good, I don't know if they still make it, and it's a different brewery. What is it? I think it's out in Colorado, but they make this one called Midas Touch, where they had taken like shards from some pottery in Egypt
Oh,
and
what? Sounds crazy.
micro analyzed it or something and figured out all the stuff that was in it, and they recreated it, and it's a very sweet kind of honeyish, and it's very strong beer too.
That's crazy.
I do like, there's I guess a trend, and it seems like it's maybe related to the hard seltzers, like the White Claw thing,
Hmm.
which I love those too.
Oh yeah, me
Um,
too.
but where they're like the sessionable beers that aren't so strong,
Hmm.
I like that too because it is annoying. I like drinking beer, and so I don't like it when I'm drinking beer and suddenly I've had like two or three, and it's like you're completely wasted and you didn't realize it. You were just sitting there, and you stand up and you're like, oh, it's
Yeah.
much nicer when it's a lighter beer and you can have more, taste different ones.
No, I definitely agree with you. No, I do the same thing you're talking about. Like if I do the heavier beers, I won't be worth a shit. And the
Hmm.
rest of the night is ruined. And I don't
Yeah, it
know.
gives you more of a headache afterwards and all that.
Yeah, that's crazy. Cause like I wonder if like since it's like more like fresh,
Hmm.
like the histamines and whatever's in it, just kind of more, you know, stout and you're just kind of getting like the allergic effects of it or whatever, the
Yeah,
allergens. Because I don't know,
possibly.
I think I have like a small gluten allergy. Because like I can do the seltzers, but if I drink a lot of craft beer, like I just feel like shit. So I don't know.
Yeah, there might be something to that. I hadn't thought about, maybe I'm slightly allergic, but yeah, maybe.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, I want to take one of those tests or whatever, but they're so expensive. Like I looked one up and I was like, I'm not paying like $100 and something to see if I'm allergic to, I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was just like, I'm good on that for now. But
Yeah, it's not life or death.
but anyway, I'm gonna force shorten some of these questions because I want to get around to asking about your band. So let's ask this one. All right. So in your opinion, what was like your favorite album of 2020? I know I kind of just threw
That
that one
came
on
out, did it need to come out in 2020 or that I listened to?
you.
I
It
don't know
can
if
be either or. Like, I know you mentioned you don't really listen to a whole lot of new music. So
I'm trying to think. I feel like maybe there was, there was a record that came out that I listened to quite a bit, and I still really like it. And it's from a whole other genre. And then they were genre hopping while they were at it.
mhm.
So it's an Americana outfit called the Mavericks. Are you familiar with them?
No.
Yeah, and they did a Spanish language record, and it was really awesome. Now I can't remember the name of it. It's no, that's the name of the song. I can't think of the name of some of the songs, but that was a record I listened to a whole lot. And I don't remember.
No, you're
I
good.
listened to so much.
It's funny
It may
because
come to
like
me.
you listen to a lot of music and then like when someone puts you on the spot, you're like, it's kind of hard to.
Yeah, and especially
I
thinking
do that
about
all the
like,
time.
or like top ones like that I listen to a lot. Yeah, who knows? Apple knows. I listen on Apple Music. Apple could tell me.
There you go. Yeah, that's tough. I listen to like a lot of like metalcore stuff like that. Like I'm big into hardcore, I'm not gonna lie.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah.
on the show, like I like obviously like rock and like emo, screamo, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of like my joke for the podcast. Like, because when I was growing up, people would call metalcore like emo screamo or whatever.
Yeah.
They're like, you listen to that screamo music.
Uh-huh.
And that's just been kind of the ongoing joke. But I listen to a lot of different stuff. But what interests me about, your band is the fact that like you guys kind of aren't bound to a specific genre.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I mean, I kind of get like punk vibes, but from song to song, I mean, there's different influences, obviously, and it's not like one specific sound. And I really think that's interesting.
Yeah. I mean, I think we don't, there's not any intention either way. There's certainly not an intention to have a genre and stick to that and do all the things you're supposed to do within a genre. But we also don't go, oh, well, this is a little bit too emo, or not even too, but it's mostly emo right now. And in order to mix it up, let's add some disco or something. Yeah, but it just happens naturally as we're writing.
Okay, it's time to take a quick break. It's time to get into the hidden gem section of the podcast. And of course, we're going to play some of the Dead Deads. And this was actually a reworked version of a song that they have done earlier in the past. They added this whole horns section. And honestly, when I listened to the first version without the horns, it's a totally different song. So like now I see what Daisy was talking about, adding the horns, and it is such a banger to me. I think it's really fun. Let's check it out. We're going to play some more of the Dead Deads later. Let's take this break. Go slam a coffee, whatever you're drinking in your right hand, chug that shit now. Deal with me, the Dead Deads. Let's go.
I am, like the wolf I am. You want chips for the games? I got 'em. You want a list of the names? I'll tell 'em. It's not the same, baby. The rules have changed, baby. I'm on my own. I'm fully grown up in my zone. Deal with me. I guess you're gonna have to deal with me. Come deal with me. Rising up like a kaiju from a deep blue sea. Nobody does it like I do. I'm feeling free. I'm feeling me. 'Cause no one really gets what they want, and that is beautiful. Round and round for the crown. It's a world of wants, and I know what they want. They want chips for the games. I got 'em. They want a list of the names. I tell 'em. It's not the same, baby. The rules have changed, baby. I'm on my own. I'm fully grown up in my zone. Come deal with me. Rising up like I do from a deep blue sea. Nobody does it like I do. I'm feeling free. I'm feeling me. I'm on my own. I'm fully grown up in my zone. Deal with me. I think you're gonna have to deal with me.
And we're back. It's like I saw some things in the about section that kind of like drew my attention, but
Yeah. Like what?
it said like you guys played cruises, and I've heard about
Yeah.
like cruise shows all the time. So talk to me and tell me like what is that like, and is it something that you like doing? Is it super fun? Like what are the pros and cons?
It is super fun. We love doing the cruises. You get to hang out on a boat. I would not recommend cruises in general. I've been on other cruises, and had been on 2 prior to doing rock cruises, and I was like, this is boring. But a rock cruise, there's tons to do, and it's really exciting. And yeah, it's great because it's like a festival. So you've got the type of bills, like these amazing bands that you get to play with, and then they're all hanging out on the boat, and all the fans are also on the boat, and you're all just hanging out at the casino or at the bar after show, and it's a great time. It's been really great for us as far as networking with other bands, and and working, getting tours, or like Paige Hamilton of Helmet. We met him on a Shiprocked, and then he ended up producing our record like the year after that. So yeah, and we got to make friends with him, and now we're just sports friends. We message with him about his Niners.
So like you guys are huge sports fans, like you
We kind of are,
football,
yes. In particular, NFL, yeah.
Oh, cool.
Well, I think we definitely have our NFL teams, and that's like I think our main sports. I'm thinking about all 3 of us. But then I know I definitely will jump on bandwagon of like anything. So I started watching NASCAR last summer because since they banned the Confederate flag, I was like, oh, I guess maybe I'm invited to NASCAR too.
Yeah, for sure.
I didn't realize they were as progressive and open as that. And so then, I started watching it. It's actually really interesting. There's the mechanics and the machines and all. It's actually really hard to do what they do. That's not just, point and go left.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, and there's the drama, and all the tracks are different. So it's really exciting. Here in a few weeks, Bristol is happening, and it's going to be on this dirt track, which I don't even know what's going to happen, but they're all these pro guys that are used to driving on like smooth surfaces are going to be on a dirt track.
That's crazy.
And so, yeah, but I just got into that. I mean, it was quarantine time. I needed something.
No, I feel you. I'm not throwing shade at all. On the way home, actually from Asheville, I drove past Kyle Busch's like car trailer for a stock car.
I hate him.
I know, but I was just like,
I hate
that's
Kyle Busch.
crazy that that truck is here. And out of all places, I was just like, he must live around North Carolina somewhere. I don't know. I'm not too familiar.
He probably does.
But
he's just
that's
got a bad attitude. He's a heel. Yeah.
Well, who's your favorite driver?
I don't really even know. I don't know. It's kind of changed. Like I got into it through Bubba Wallace, but he doesn't win very much. So for some reason, I guess I kind of landed on Denny Hamlin, even though I hate that his name is Denny and not Danny.
Yeah.
There's another guy. His name is Eric Almirola with an A, but it's Eric. And anytime, like while I'm watching a race, there's a tiny little voice in my head that's just like wishing they would switch vowels. So it could be Danny and Eric instead of Denny and Eric.
I feel you.
Yeah. I'm not crazy. You're crazy.
No.
You were crazy.
No, I think that's really cool because I've kind of gained more of an appreciation for different things ever since quarantine and lockdown. And like it's very scarce of, forms of entertainment, because like live shows are over. All we really got was like NFL, hockey. Well, we did have baseball, I guess, but I'm not huge into baseball. And well, anyway, like football was pretty cool. You mentioned you like NFL. What is your team for NFL?
Titans. Tennessee Titans.
Titans all the way. What about everyone else in your band?
Meta is also Tennessee Titan, and our drummer McQueen, she is a Packers fan, and I can't remember why. I think when she was a kid, somebody bought her like a jersey. I don't know. I should know. There's probably a way better story than that, but even though she's an Alabama girl, she's a cheesehead. That's
funny. Are you guys so all of you are from Tennessee, or did you guys end up moving to Nashville at some point?
I grew up around here. Meta grew up in Chattanooga, but moved here when she was like 18 or something. And it's like an hour and a half away. And McQueen is a Huntsville, Alabama girl, which is like 2 hours from here.
All right, cool. Do you guys all get in together and start having your Southern accents come out, or?
McQueen's is really strong. And it's great sometimes hanging out with people and they don't understand what she's saying. And every now and then I don't either, but I can't remember. I feel like maybe she says banana or something, whatever. Every now and then I don't understand her, but maybe, I don't know. I think someone else would have to tell us if that's happening.
That's funny.
I bet it does though. That's what happens.
Oh yeah. It's hard to speak like Alabama.
Yeah, especially once we get between whiskey and hanging out in Alabama, it probably does get pretty bad.
Are you guys all drink whiskey when you're playing shows and shit? Is that your liquor of choice?
I think so. Yeah, like a bottle of Jameson's, but or vodka or tequila. Just or beer or wine
or whatever. As long as it's got alcohol, we're in. No, I'm more of a tequila person myself. I like whiskey too, though. Whiskey's it's a fun time, but I tend to get angry on whiskey for some reason. I try to stay away from it.
I like whiskey because I like knowing and feel. I drink it neat. I like to sense as I'm drinking it, I like to sense that I'm having that versus. I don't know. Maybe it helps me keep up with how much I'm having.
Yeah.
When it starts going down easy, it's that's where you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Do you like tequila? Do you drink mezcals? Have you got that?
Not really. Not a whole lot, honestly. I don't know, like I've recently, ever since like I met my wife, like I've been drinking tequila. So I'm not gonna act like I'm like super proper. I know everything about tequila guy, but yeah, it always reminds me of a good
Have you had
time.
that George Clooney one?
No, I haven't. I forget what that one's
It's really
called.
good, and I forget what it's called
It's like
too.
Casamigos or something.
Yes, I think that's exactly it. Yeah.
Okay. I saw it on, I forget. It was when he was like, pitching his brand or whatever.
It's legitimately smooth. Someone offered it to me and was just like, "Taste this. It's awesome." And they were right. And then they told me that it was George Clooney's tequila, and I was like, "Damn it. I like a celebrity tequila."
That's really cool.
That's
I
some
feel like
bullshit.
at my ABC store, I don't think they carry that one. I always get
Mm.
lost in the brands. I'm like, geez, like, you go in there like, hey, I want to try this one, but you can't ever find it. So,
Yeah, I don't normally get into I like Hornitos, like the silver. I
Mhm.
like that.
Oh, cool.
It's pretty. Yeah.
I drink Altos tequila.
Mm.
That's like my favorite, just because like I usually mix it and stuff. Like I don't know, like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure you would get something different if you were gonna drink it neat. But for just mixing and shit, Altos tequila all day. That's my plug.
Nice.
But anyway, all right. So another question I want to ask about your band. It mentioned that you guys played with Evanescence at home, I guess. So like, what was that like
Yeah.
playing with Evanescence?
That was really cool because Evanescence hadn't played for 2 or 3 years or something.
Mhm.
And they had booked an Ozfest, and so then I guess they're basically like practice shows for Ozfest, but they booked, it was like Nashville, Dallas, and somewhere in California.
Mhm.
And so this was the very first time they had played in years. And so fans from around the world came to that show. And I mean, we were honored that they picked us. It was just us opening.
Wow.
It was funny because our shows are like very lively, and people don't always mosh, but sometimes mosh, at least jump up and dance and move around and stuff. And during this show, it was packed. Everybody's just packed in. And while we played, they were just staring at us. And I was thinking like, they're hating it. They've been waiting forever for Amy to come out. And like, they're just like wishing we would just get off the stage so Amy can come out. But then afterwards, we went to the merch table, like meet and greet, taking pictures, and they loved it. So they were just,
Cool.
it was almost like just a different culture or something around, like that they were just respecting each other's space and not dancing around and being
Mhm.
rowdy, I guess. So I just, it was a funny turnaround from like, they hate this to,
They love us. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
cool, dude.
yeah,
That's really
it was an honor.
interesting. Yeah, I'm sure. Like what are some bands that like you looked up to, I guess, growing up? Like what, or specifically like, you would get like starstruck around them.
That's hard to say, but I mean, because the bands that I looked up to, I guess, when I was a kid, were just like the punk rock bands in town, and they were, they were older or whatever, but they were also approachable.
Mhm.
So I don't know. I guess like one of the bands that we toured with was Bush, and Gavin Rossdale, is famous. And so I guess I was worried that I would be starstruck. And I felt a little bit starstruck when we, like the first day, but he brought his dog in and saw us and watched our show the first day. So he dispelled that so quickly. And that's what a lot of the rock bands do. I'm trying to think if I've run into anybody that's like true rock star diva, like don't look at me. They're almost never like that. They're almost self-consciously, they want to make sure that they're not doing that. So they, make a point to say hi and to hang out and just be regular people.
Yeah. What do you think about like, I don't know, like I don't want to bring this up too much on the show, but like the MGK thing, he basically said it on a podcast about like not wearing comfortable shoes and how he's like a firm believer in like having a style or an aesthetic, and rock bands don't look like rock bands anymore. So like
Yeah.
kind of that you mentioned that, like, what is your take on that? Like, should rock bands have an aesthetic? Should they not just look like guys in flannel shirts and comfy shoes? Like, what is your opinion on that?
Well, I love it. I think I tend to agree. Obviously, I've got X's on my face just, for podcasts. We wear these our show.
Mhm.
And it's one of our things. So I definitely, and I'm wearing a flower in my hair so you remember I'm Daisy. And one of our things is Alien. Check this out. I'm
That's really
definitely
cool.
into bands having an aesthetic.
Mhm.
This was a gift. It's really cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Jim. The I get the idea of while I'm wearing I'm literally wearing a cedar flannel, and so
Mhm.
all of this is part of my glam look.
Okay.
But so it's I think that there's something to putting on a show.
Mhm.
So I like to again, speaking of like literally the shoes, I'm loading in equipment and stuff and I'm wearing tennis shoes, but before I go on stage, with rare exceptions, I'm never wearing tennis shoes. The one or two times that I have worn tennis shoes on stage has been like I ran out of time or I got confused about something and I had to just go.
Just go. Yeah.
And I hated it
Mhm.
because I didn't feel like the show started
Mhm.
because I wasn't. I mean, I don't change into a whole different person, but at the same time, there is something to like, getting dressed up, just like anything, like a date. Like if you're a couple and, you just kind of go out together to eat a meal, that's one thing. But if you're on a date, you're going to dress up and,
Mhm.
spray the cologne or whatever. And that's what I think a show is. It's like, it should be elevated.
I
And not
agree. Yeah.
necessarily because they've spent money or that you owe them that, but that's just what the occasion calls for.
I love that. I love the way you put that. That's like the best way to put it. Yeah, I mean, it's just like kind of a when in Rome kind of thing. Like you're here, you're putting on a show, you're entertaining.
Yeah,
Might as well
it's
just be larger than
cool.
life.
And it's funny because it goes, like a band like Seether, like they have an aesthetic, but it's some of that like grunge kind of low key, and they could theoretically look like just regular guys on the street, but
Mhm.
that's unique. Most everybody else, does have their hair, or they've got something going on, and I think that's good. It's part of the fun. It's an escape.
That's really true. So like being a band in Nashville, like is it very like dog eat dog amongst bands, or
No,
what is the vibe there? Like,
no, the vibe is like everybody, let's all work together, let's collaborate. Oh, we need gang vocals. Well, let's call everybody we know on the gang vocal track or whatever. No, it's super collaborative, super collaboristic. Expialidocious. And yeah, it's collaborative, supportive, definitely not dog eat dog
I was just curious because rock kind of gets a
that I
bad
know
rap.
of.
Yeah,
As far as I
well,
know.
yeah, fair enough. Well, I don't know. I feel like rock gets kind of like a bad rap when it comes to like this crabs in a barrel type mentality of like, bands don't really help each other out as much as they probably should, or I don't know what you're taking from
Oh,
that, but
yeah, I don't know. I mean, there's also only so much bands can help. I think when people make that kind of complaint, it's that their expectation is different from reality
mhm,
because, there's only so much somebody can do. It's kind of interesting, like as far as like with fandom, like I could recommend bands, and I know some of the deadcore are interested. They're always seeking out new stuff, but they're not necessarily. It's not like you're necessarily going to bring your entire fandom on board with some other random person you've just told them about.
mhm.
But and so maybe sometimes people get their feelings hurt if like enough fandom doesn't cross over, or so I don't know. I mean, there's only so much you can do to help somebody else too.
Yeah, for sure.
But as far as I can tell, for the most part, everybody's doing that as much as they can. They're shouting out their favorite new bands. These bands, they're bringing out, local bands and smaller bands and giving them legs up. They're mentoring. I mean, we've just experienced so much of that ourselves, and I see that happening on constantly. So
Very
for the
true.
most part, it's dog help dog, dog help
Yeah.
dog hunt, the wolf pack.
Yeah, it's looking like it's turning around that way, and I've been enjoying that. Like, I've been seeing a lot more features, I feel like, in the rock community. So that's very exciting. I can't wait to see like what this year holds for new releases and stuff like
It's
that.
gonna be insane.
I think so. And
But good.
are you guys, well, you can answer this if you're able to, but like, are you guys on a bill for any upcoming shows like in the fall? I know some people have planned those.
Nothing.
So
We got
nothing so far.
Nothing on the books at this very moment.
It's probably the best way right now. You don't want to feel like you're going to commit to something and then it doesn't happen.
We had a year ago. I think by now we would be out on tour with The Darkness, who we met on the Kiss Cruise.
Oh man.
And that, such a bummer. So, there's potential that we get back on a bill with them when that happens, or something else. But we have a record coming out. We've put a line in the sand, August 20th,
cool.
And expect like that some fall tour or another, like we'll come together, or we can do some regional stuff as a smaller headlining ourselves or something. But I see it coming back pretty soon, and especially here in the next couple months with nice weather, everybody getting vaccinated. I think even though a lot of the big festivals have canceled for the summer, I think it's going to be a lot of shows happen. They'll be maybe in shorter runs, like what's that, Smith and Myers, the Shinedown, like, they announce like 7 or 8 dates. You might see that it working like that, where they're like, we're pretty sure about this, so we'll do that, but not like 50 around the world.
Yeah, that's interesting. The only thing I saw for certain was Furnace Fest. But I know that's in like September, so I don't know. We'll see. We'll see like what happens. I don't want to buy any tickets yet. So not buying any.
Yet.
But anyway, so I really do want to know, like, what was your like home life like growing up, and like how did that impact like your tastes, I guess?
Oh, okay. I grew up with a mother and a father, and a brother and a sister out in the sticks. I was kind of joking, but I guess I could, about 40 minutes outside Nashville. And they listened to, I guess, mostly classic rock music. One of our like family favorites was the Traveling Wilburys record. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but it's like they were a super group of like Bob Dylan, George Harrison, Jeff Lynne, Roy Orbison, and Tom Petty.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the name of that group was, but I remember seeing like a documentary about like one of the songs that were whatever. But anyway.
So we would dance around to that, but like also Thriller, I remember, was like, if we did the tours, then Mom would play Thriller, Tracy Chapman, and then they listened to like Bob Marley and other stuff. I can't remember everything, but they love music. And then early on, I guess I started just playing like piano, and then I played trumpet in school. My little brother picked up the guitar. That's also very normal for Nashville. I lived in Austin for a few years, and when I moved there, that was one thing I noticed, is that not everybody has a guitar in their house. And here, everybody has a guitar in their house.
I'm sure.
Whether they play it or not, they at least thought they might, or they ran into one at a yard sale or something. But it's a very normal and kind of standard thing to have some musical instrument around. So I don't know if that answers your question, but it's kind of a similar answer for the other girls, I can say. Meta's cool. Mom played music, and so just music was always a part of it. There was never any, we get a question kind of in the same vein. There was never any time of, I think, any of our memories where there was not music.
Mhm.
And then suddenly one day music was in our life. There was never anything like that. It was always part of the air.
That's really cool. Yeah, because like honestly, I get this vibe of like you guys have like this punk rock influence, but you're definitely influenced a lot by like classical rock, classic
Mm-hmm.
rock music, whatever, like
Mm-hmm.
Bob Dylan, that kind of stuff in vein of that. Like I kind of get that vibe of like kind of living out the 60s, 70s, but still kind of like this punk aesthetic.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, all the Zeppelin, and I'm a big fan of Blue Oyster Cult.
Oh, sick.
It's kind of weird, but yeah. All that stuff. It's good. All the
Yeah.
music is good.
For sure. No, I'm from a similar, pond or whatever. Like my dad grew up in San Fran and he was like a Woodstock, deadhead or whatever. So I was raised by like a hippie my whole life. So yeah, my earliest.
Was he into Journey?
He was into all those guys, all those, but yeah, but Journey, yeah. He was really big into Bob Dylan, obviously Grateful Dead, the Beatles. Like he was a Beatles like super fan. The Stones,
They're great.
obviously, Janis Joplin. He actually took me to like Silver City when I was a kid and showed me that bar that she played at a lot. And it's got nothing but like women's underwear hanging from the ceiling.
Really?
Yeah, it's
Oh,
like
that's
really,
cool.
it's really cool place in Silver City. But
Oh.
yeah, like that's kind of stuff I grew up on. So I totally understand where you guys are coming from.
Yeah.
But anyway, I want to be respectful of your time. I know you probably have some better things going on today.
Oh, I don't know. This is probably going to be the highlight of the day.
Well, at least you'll have, the rest of the day to finish whatever you got to finish and get ready for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
So you're still working a day job, right? Like it hasn't been impacted that hard by COVID, has it? Or
No, it hasn't. I work for a company called Bitch and Sauce. Some friends of mine started in San Diego years ago, and it's just grown and grown and grown. And it was something I was able to do from home before COVID. So then when COVID hit, that didn't really change that much. There was some differences, but we don't need to get in the weeds of all that.
I feel you.
They did all right. We're doing all right.
Well, that's all that matters. At least you're still like, able to work and stuff like that. That's really good.
Yeah. And use different parts of my brain.
Right. How much time is like spent on music since you kind of like juggle both like a full-time job and, working with the band? Like how much do you have to like put towards like just doing music?
It's kind of, an evenings and weekends kind of thing, but I mean, especially now there's not a lot of other things I'm doing. And then constantly listening to music, and just trying to keep talk about just keeping the calluses alive. Actually, I had a dream last night that I had to play a song. I think I'm going to learn that tonight. And in the dream, it was for a festival, and it was a friend that was like, "Oh my God, I have to play this." And for some reason their bass player was gone. But I actually haven't learned a cover in a while. So I was like, I'm going to learn that cover I had a nightmare over. In the dream, I didn't have a bass to even pick it. I had like 5 minutes, and the only thing I had to work with was a viola whose strings were like all loose. Anyway, that was my nightmare last night.
I hate that. I hate those like nightmares where like you can't like punch the guy that you're trying to punch type thing, or you can't reach for that thing or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's funny because I did work it out, and I think it worked out okay. And I remember how I thought it went, and I have already checked, and that's not how it goes. Those are totally the wrong fingerings that I thought of in my head, but it was just a dream.
You'll figure it out. Well,
I will.
Out of dream mode. Yeah.
Yeah.
You got this. But anyway, before we do head out, I do want to touch on the new Deal With Me, the latest release by your band. I thought it would be kind of good if we didn't talk about that. But so when was that written, I guess, because that's your latest release, but how long ago was that like tracked? And
well, it's actually a older, it's one of our, not oldest. It's like it could be 3 years old at this point. I know a couple years ago, gosh, time flies. So 2 years ago for Record Store Day, we filmed the video for it, a different video. We had Deadcore all travel in. It was really awesome. And so we had been playing and performing that prior to that. So 2.5, 3 years ago is when it was written. But then as we were writing the new record, that was just put out as a single. It wasn't on a record. And so we wanted to bring it on to the new record. Mm-hmm. And our producer, Matt Mahaffey, he had the brilliant idea, which I could not comprehend at first, but to add horns to it. And as soon as he did that, it was like so much better. It totally elevated it and made it different enough for our fans. And so, yeah, so it's actually a little older, and this is the second incarnation. And
that's cool.
I love it. Yeah.
That's really cool. Yeah. So like what is expected, or not to be expected, but like what's unexpected, I guess, that's coming from the newer release that you can talk about? Like what can fans expect to see, I guess?
Well, we're going to continue putting out singles. So we've put out 2 or 3 or 4 singles. And we've got a couple more coming, and there will still be songs you've never heard by the time it comes out. We're saving back. We're continuing to save back some. And even it's some of our favorite songs that we're holding back. I think it's been talked about. I guess it's a pretty big deal that we've got a duet with Corey motherfucking Taylor on there. The song is Murder Ballad 2. There's a song on our Paige Hamilton produced record For Your Obliteration that he really liked called Murder Ballad, and which was co-written with Tom Peterson of Cheap Trick, just to keep name dropping. That's what I'm talking about, the collaboration. We collaborate.
Yeah, definitely.
So then he agreed to do a duet on a like continuation of that song. That's
really cool.
Yeah, so that's happening.
That's something. Yeah. No, that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really awesome. And before we head out, explain the Dead Corpse thing. I noticed, I saw that a lot. So like you guys have like this loyal follling of fans. Do they go to like every show that you guys play at? Like what's
they try? Yeah. Yeah, we have them. We've got one dish that I think has gone to 100 shows or is coming up on 100 shows and has seen us everywhere. They make it, and it's not just us. I see, fans do that where they will pick a week's worth of dates or something, and that's their vacation, where they just kind of travel along. And we do have some where we specifically, like some big shows that we do. We just had a big like holiday show called Abduction 3, where like everybody, of course they couldn't come in, but it was still kind of reaching out to everybody to participate, send in selfies and stuff. So yeah, we definitely have, they travel into Nashville, or they'll, see us while we're out on the road too. Was that your question? I feel like
no, that's perfect. I was just like, I'm getting like this whole like
the Dead Corps.
Yeah, the Dead Corps thing,
it's spelled Dead Corpse, but it's like the way like Marine Corps. So and it's a play on the words, like obviously the word corpse, like dead, a dead body, but so it's a play on words with that. But yeah, they're all very sweet, very kind it's like a family amongst themselves, and they just love music and like to have a good time and be silly, and they tolerate my dad jokes, and so.
That's great. Well, anyway, I'm going to respect your time. Let's get you out of here. I'm going to do some day drinking. No, I'm just kidding. I got some shit I got to
edit. This is your last day off.
It's the last day off. Yeah. But anything that you want to say before we head out? Any final thoughts? Anything you want to say about your band? Anything to look forward to?
Well, we have more singles coming out. I don't know when this is going to air, but if you like what you heard so far, there's more on the way. And you can visit us on all the socials, maybe TikTok too, eventually. But yeah, on the Instagram and Twitter is where we mostly reside. And we also have like a text thing. You can find that on the socials, where we'll text you if you want. And yeah, rock and roll.
Sick. All right, well, thank you so much. That was Daisy, the bassist of the Dead Deads. Go check out their latest release, Deal With Me. Not me, but Deal With Them. But anyway, thanks for being on the show. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you guys.
Likewise. Thank you.
That was it. Thank you so much to Daisy again for doing this episode. The Dead Deads, you guys are great. Keep doing your thing. I cannot wait to visit Nashville one day, okay? You've talked me into it. I gotta check it out. I gotta check out all these vegan places that I've been hearing about. I love to travel, so pretty soon we'll be seeing you. If you enjoyed the video, please like the video, hit subscribe, ring that notification bell. That way you're notified every time I drop a new video or podcast episode. I am not on a specific time schedule, so they could literally drop at any time. And all the links are down below in the description. So if you want to support the band, the podcast, all those links are down below. Before we head out, we're going to play some more of the Dead Deads. I know you want to hear some more. We're going to play one of my favorite songs, In For Blood. It's a banger. We'll see you next week, guys.
Leave
Shine on.
Hell yeah.